Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Page. I'm your most humble and obedient servant, Page Ghost. Really sorry that I was out again last week. I just couldn't get around to getting another video out, but I'm happy to finally be talking about today's discussion. And man, I've really been sitting on this for a while. And I know a lot of people have already been talking about this, and I don't know if I necessarily have anything new to say. This isn't really going to be a review of sorts. My bottom line, today we're talking about the video game Pragmata, and if you haven't heard anything about it, I highly recommend you go play it. If you don't like spoilers, just stay off the internet for a little bit, play through the game. It's really not that long of a game. And just be prepared, for the most part, to have a quite the emotional experience at the end. And, you know, some lightheartedness throughout it as well. But that's my bottom line review sort of recommendation. Go get this game and just prepare to have some emotional experiences with it. But I just kind of want to talk about things that stood out to me about it. I'll probably reflect a bit on my first impressions video that I did like 2 or 3 weeks ago now, maybe a bit longer. Reflect on some stuff that I said in there and just different implications with it. And talking about my first impressions video, I want to reflect on that that opening of the video game itself and how they really do fast track that connection between Hugh and Diana. And my original sort of interpretation of that still stands. They just want to get to the heart of the game, and that is the Hugh and Diana dynamic, and that holds throughout the entire rest of the game too. So you could make the argument that the beginning of the video game is a bit weak because of that, because they're just trying to hurry up and get you through and get Hugh with Diana. So you can make the argument that that's a bit weak for that setup, but the setup still at least makes sense. Like, it wouldn't make sense if Hugh was there by himself trying to fix the entire station by himself. So you got to have a team of people there, so that makes sense. However, the journey itself and the relationship being focused on Hugh and Diana, it really doesn't make any sense to have other humans there, other people to interact with. And so it's this weird space where Hugh needs to be by himself, but they logically need to get him there. And so it's this sort of weird space that the game's narrative sits in to get the player there. Again, it's a very short time span. At the very beginning of the game, it introduces a few bits of gameplay really quick. And this perspective of they just want to hurry up and get to Hugh and Diana's dynamic quickly. This is further proven by the fact that in a New Game Plus playthrough, you can choose the option to skip the intro of the game and go straight to the shelter. So that right there proves that really this is, like, we have that set up to have like a logical story, a narrative that makes sense, but really you're here for the Hugh and Diana dynamic, the relationship there. So I just wanted to clarify, sort of expand on that from my first impressions video. Also, a few others have pointed this out already, but just a little thing here. There's a reason why, most likely, that Hugh's character is named Hugh, because it rhymes with you, as in you, the player. So I thought that was kind of interesting, that in a weird kind of way. Not only is Diana talking to the player, us, through Hugh as an avatar, but also whenever she addresses Hugh directly, it's almost like sometimes she's saying you, as in you, the player. So that was really, really nice. Nice little, little touch there. I always find it interesting to find out why certain characters receive the names that they receive. Because oftentimes most names have some kind of etymology. They have some sort of definition or meaning to them. And so a lot of times game developers, story writers, that sort of thing, they'll have a reason for a character having a particular name. So that's always nice. Speaking of which, I meant to do this before the video, but I imagine there's probably a reason why Diana was given her specific name, and not just because Hugh gave it to her. I have at least one theory. Her first initials of her PRAGMATA name, DI03367 or whatever, something like that. And so I am, in universe, I think Hugh saw the D and I and went with Diana. But I wonder if there's an actual there's a meaning behind her name sort of thing. I'll probably end up looking it up after this, and if there is something, I'll probably put it in the comments below. But in universe, it makes sense that Hugh hears the letters D-I and then he goes Diana. So that makes a lot of sense there. Let's see here. Something really cute that I really love about this game. Hugh gives Diana a piggyback ride the entirety of the game, pretty much. I can't believe no one, at least as far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone's talked about this whatsoever. But I absolutely love that visual, because it's really cute, and it just further emphasizes the father-daughter relationship that they're trying to build throughout the entire game. And so Hugh, you, the character, giving Diana a piggyback ride the entire time you're playing, pretty much, just really emphasizes that father-daughter dynamic. I give my daughter little piggyback rides on my shoulder all the time. And there's nothing better than that, because there's something very I don't even know how to explain it, but part of it has to do with that physical contact of you have a child on you, carrying them, they're depending on you, and so you're creating this bond there, and then the carrying, sometimes out of necessity and sometimes just out of fun, depending on whatever. There's a few videos that popped up on my algorithm, because of course the internet knows that I'm a dad. To be fair, I talk about it all the time. But there was a video that popped up once that talks about why it's so important for dads to play with their kids, and it's because moms have that birthing experience that immediately connects the child to the mom, and then there's of course also breastfeeding and stuff like that, but there's almost that immediate connection, whereas for fathers it can be a little more difficult, but that's where that sort of rough and tumble play comes in. I'll flip my daughter around, I'll throw her on the bed, and I'll throw her on the couch, and I'll pick her upside down and swing her back and forth and these things, and as it turns out, actually, all of that rough and tumble play, especially when there's giggling and playing and all this other stuff, it really, really helps build that relationship in a very, very strong way. In a lot of ways, very similar to how moms build relationships with their kids. And so, that piggyback ride that you're giving Diana the entire time just further builds that relationship between you and Diana. So I really liked that. It was very interesting. Again, I haven't really seen anybody talk too much about that piggyback ride, but really, really enjoyed that. Oh, something that people might not know. Although you would have experienced it, if you did the mop up that I did. So, if you decide to, like, before the end of the game, if you decide to do sort of the mop up tasks of, like, getting the 100% in all the sectors and whatnot, you'll find that sometimes you'll run into new conversations between Diana and Hugh. So, for example, if you go back to Sector 2 before fighting 8 or something like that, you go back to Sector 2 and you get the stuff that you're missing and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll have new conversations, but I've even experienced repeat conversations. However that ended up getting put in there, whatever the reasoning behind it, I really appreciate that from Capcom, because Capcom knows that those conversations are really what make the game, and they're super tiny, right? Like, you're just walking along and all of a sudden Hugh and Diana start talking. But it's those small talks that build the relationship between those two characters, and it's really what we as the player live for as we're playing through this game. And so I really appreciate that not only can you repeat a lot of those conversations by going back through those sectors, but you'll also get new conversations as the story develops and you go back through those sectors. So I really appreciate that from Capcom. It was really, really well done, and it was a nice little surprise while I was doing the mop up of 100%ing all the areas. In my first impressions video, I speculated on the reasoning why Diana was built as an 8-year-old girl. I ended up being completely wrong on that, and so I want to comment for a time on this. The reason why Diana is an 8-year-old girl is because she was made by a doctor, Dr. Higgins, and meant to be essentially a sort of test subject in place of his daughter. So his daughter, I assume, was dying of cancer. I don't know if that was necessarily confirmed or not. I don't remember the word cancer being thrown out there. But she was dying of some serious ailment, and Dr. Higgins was trying to develop a cure. And he made these pragmata to run tests on in hopes of finding a cure. Unfortunately, throughout this process, he actually ended up. Oh man, I'm actually blanking a little bit on the details of the particulars of this. He either created dead filament, or I think I think Luna filament got blended with biological material and created dead filament, something like that. Oh man, I'm kind of forgetting a little bit of the particulars there. It's something like that along the way, roundabouts, because dead filament can not only affect living tissue, but it spreads once it comes in contact with living tissue, and it doesn't stop until it eats up all the living tissue. Anyways, so my speculation on why Diana was a 8-year-old girl was that it creates this instinct to protect her, to protect that pragmata immediately, and she has this ability to rewrite programs, specifically rewrite Edis, which is sort of one of the main antagonists of the story. And so to create or to help protect this pragmata, in the case that Edis goes rogue, the in-world explanation is make the pragmata an 8-year-old girl to create this instinct in people to protect the pragmata instinctively. So that was my original sort of theory on that, and up being completely wrong. It's Dr. Higgins made pragmata based on his 8-year-old girl, so that way he could hopefully find a cure for her ailment, and then Diana didn't quite fit the profile that Dr. Higgins wanted, put her into stasis, sleep mode, whatever, and then he continues experiments on another pragmata named 8. So this still works. Clearly, it still works, right? It makes a lot of sense. Gives Diana sort of this personal journey of feeling worthless, right? That she's not useful. That's why she has those moments with Hugh where she's like really asking him, hey, I want to be useful. I want to be helpful to you. I have these abilities. I can do all kinds of stuff. Let me help. And so she has that sort of personal journey because of her previous existence, not previous existence, her previous experiences with Dr. Higgins and why she was put into stasis. So I really like that personal journey that Diana has, finding out that she was useful all along and that just Dr. Higgins was wrong, and that sort of thing. All of that 100% works narratively speaking. This is probably just a little bit of my own narcissism poking out a little bit. I personally like my reasoning a little bit better. Because we've seen this kind of story before of someone is trying to help someone else, and so they run various experiments. They're away from the person that they're trying to save, that sort of thing, and then the experiments end up going wrong. Like, we've seen those types of stories. Actually, Frankenstein is a kind of story like that, where he lost his mother and he never really got over that, and so then he runs these experiments to try and create life, all because he never dealt with the death of his mother, that sort of thing. So we've seen this Dr. Higgins story before, and I'm not saying it's a problem at all. Like, this is clearly a fantastic game. The narrative is spot on. It's really well done. But we've just seen it so many times before, and I just feel like the idea of using human instinct to sort of help in scenarios like this. I'm sure it's been done before. I just haven't seen it yet, and I think that would have been very interesting to see play out. It didn't happen. It's all right. It's not a problem. It's still a great game. I just would have liked to have seen that play out and see the implications of it. What else? Before I get to the ending, I think that's a lot of my first impressions sort of discussed. So let's get into that ending. Man, wow, that ending. Yeah, geez, that ending. So, before you have that really, really awesome fight with the dead filament, with that little miniature Gundam with the giant sort of laser gun on it, there's this moment right before the fight where Hugh is talking with Diana, and I've replayed that scene over and over again, not only in my head, but I've watched it on YouTube so many times now. It's such a beautiful moment, and I really haven't seen anybody talk about it, and I imagine it's because it gets overshadowed by the action-packed scene that happens afterward. But he starts talking to Diana about his own life, and the stumbles that he had, and the wants that he had, and it's a kind of passing of the torch. It's a kind of it's almost a kind of a blessing that he gives her. He gives her two blessings. There's this one, and then there's the very, very end that we'll talk about. But he's telling her how much she is very much like him, a thirst for life and all its mysteries, that sort of thing, and now she can go on if she's ready, she can go and have these experiences too, and experience life, and everything that it has to offer. It was just, I'm just commenting on it. It's a very beautiful moment where he's passing on the torch, where he's giving her this blessing of, you and I are very, very much alike, and I want you to go and experience these things that you want to experience. And so I hadn't heard anybody talk about it. To be fair, I'm not really saying much outside of explaining the event itself, but it's a very, very touching moment right before the very end of the game, and I almost see this moment as more of a blessing than the very last scene, because the very last scene is the farewell between the two characters. Yeah, man. Honestly, that blessing scene almost. No, the farewell still gets me more, but like I like a lot of other people have been doing, they can't help but think about their own kids whenever they're playing this, especially if they have a daughter. They can't help but sort of project their own daughter and their own parenthood upon the relationship between Hugh and Diana. And I don't know if I would necessarily say that I have a thirst for life. I'm very much a homebody, and so I'm not looking to, go to a desert like Hugh or anything like that. But I do have sort of my own blessings, my own intentions for my daughter, in hopes that she will go live her life and be her true self, and that she'll run into challenges, but she'll be ready. Not that she's like ready to face them, but that I'll have faith, and that she'll have faith to face them and figure them out. And it's very, very similar to the relationship between Hugh and Diana. Yeah, so moving on into the very, very end of the game, which again, something everybody's been talking about, but this ending is built up on so well, and the writers did such a good job of not giving Hugh any outs whatsoever. It all starts with the dead filament impalement that he gets. I forget. It's after the Lunam mines. That's right. He gets impaled by 8, and you have that brief moment where he's got that little infection sort of developing in his neck a little bit, and then he puts on his visor, and you never see his face again until the very end. And then so there's that sort of initial moment, and then especially as it gets closer and closer to the end, he starts asking questions like, hey, can dead filament get removed from a living organism? Most players picked up on, oh, he's not asking in general, he's asking for himself. Diana just doesn't know. So he has the dead filament. So that's going to get him, and there's nothing can be done about it. Also, he can't go back to Earth because he can't risk infecting anything on Earth, because if he infects anything on Earth, then it'll spread from one living thing to the next. It'll just spread like wildfire. So he does that. And then he has to, and then there's the cargo shuttle, not intended for humans. Maybe his suit could protect him to an extent, but it's not super durable, because we know that from the robots, right? So he might not survive crash landing on Earth, which is essentially what happens more or less with Diana whenever she gets there. I'll talk about that here in a bit. I'll clarify. It's not like a crash, but he's human. He probably can't survive that kind of landing, in a cargo shuttle, no less. And then the final nail in the coffin is, so to speak, pun intended. He gives up his suit battery, so that way the cargo shuttle will launch. These writers did such a good job of the writers did such a good job of illustrating not only what a father figure would do, but also what a father figure should do. I know there's some players out there that wondered, like, why didn't he tell her? Why didn't he tell her? Why didn't Hugh tell Diana that that he has the dead filament and that he can't go with her? He didn't tell her because he knew that if he did, she would stay. And that's no life for her. I touched a little bit on this in a completely different video. I talked about the book Until the Cows Come Home. No. Till the Cows Come Home. And it illustrates the same idea of parents telling their kids, you can't stay here. You have a whole life you gotta live. You have wants and hopes and dreams that you have to go find. They have to go work for. And if you stay here with me forever, like I'm supposed to take care of you for a time. I'm supposed to take care of my daughter for a time, but she's on loan. I don't own her. She's not mine. She's her own. Kids eventually become their own person. And that's why Hugh didn't tell her. Hugh knew that if he told her, she would do exactly what she said, that she wanted to stay with Hugh. She can't stay with him. Whether it was going to be the dead filament or old age, he's going to be gone and she's still going to be living. And that's no life for her to stay with him. It's no life for my daughter to stay with me. She needs to go off and have her own experiences, whatever those experiences are that she wants. And she deserves that. Diana deserves that too. It's why he has that final moment with her where he tells her, go find the sea. That's what you want, right? Nothing should stand in the way of that. Not even me, not even Hugh. Because Diana deserves to go after what she wants. We'll see if I can get through this without a couple tears. Since we're on it, man. Oh, man, that ending. I've rewatched it so many times, and I tear up every time. Talking less about the game and more about other players. Other players' responses to this game have been nothing short of beautiful. Men and women across the board. It's real easy to be so cynical about this world, because especially if you're online, all you see is bad stuff all over the place, because that's all that gets clicks, and it just fills up your algorithm. It knows that it'll get your attention if you see bad news everywhere. But seeing players' responses to this game and its ending has restored my faith in humanity in a sense, but also has made me realize that yeah, we got our problems, but we are better than we give ourselves credit for. Because if people, by and large, in general, are having these beautiful, heartfelt responses to this game, and especially young people too, that means there's hope. That means that it's gonna be okay. That my daughter has a future, that I don't need to worry so much, that you don't need to worry so much. It's okay. We're gonna be okay. Good. So this video game did a really good job of, restoring my faith in humanity, and also reminding me that, the world certainly has its problems. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong, but that there is beauty to be appreciated in it, even in something as simple as a video game. I think this will be a nice little moment to cap things off on. Something else I feel like people haven't really commented on too much. So there's obviously all those signs, all of, Hugh's not going to make it, Hugh's not going to make it. All those things, especially at the end of the cargo shuttle, him giving up his battery. But something that I want to comment on is that Hugh and Diana, for the most part, both of them are there almost 100% of the time. There's that moment at the end before Hugh gives up his battery where he looks off at the Earth. And when I saw that and continued to re-see it on other playthroughs and such, I don't think anybody's saying that's what this was, but maybe it's some people thinking it. Some people might be tempted to think that he's questioning whether or not he should go through with this and send her to Earth. I don't see it that way. And I don't know if other people do either. But it's a possible interpretation. I don't think that's what it is. I think it was Hugh taking a moment for himself. A lot of fatherhood, as I've experienced these last 3 years, needs to be selfless. There's a lot of giving up for the child, children, whatever. By the way, I 100% knew this. I knew what I was signing up for. I didn't think it was going to be easy. I certainly didn't want it to be. There's so much giving from the parent to the child. So much. That doesn't change the fact that parents still do deserve and need moments for themselves. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I see that moment where Hugh looks at the Earth one last time. It wasn't him questioning whether he would move forward with his decision. It was him saying, I know what I'm going to do. I don't regret it. I just want to see the Earth one more time. Because throughout the entire game, there are several moments where he appreciates the view of Earth. He talks about his experiences on Earth very positively, especially going off to like the desert, going to Alaska, probably a few other places that I just forget. And so he really appreciates his time on Earth, and he appreciates his home by the beach. He appreciates the view that he gets of Earth from space, having the job that he has. And so it's just this brief moment where it's for himself. And it's not about selfishness. It's about self-care. It's about him knowing that he needs that, so that way he can sort of recharge himself a little bit and do what he's about to do. And so, if you're a parent and you struggle with that, obviously you need to find a balance, right? You can't take time to yourself all the time, or even, I would even argue, like 50% of the time. You just can't. Kids need so much. But it's okay to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And Hugh does in that moment at the end where he looks at the earth one last time, for just a moment. He takes that moment for himself. And then, as he says, time to bring it in. It's like, all right, I got my last look. I got my last moment to myself. Now I gotta do what I gotta do. Gotta do what every father would and should do. And then he has that moment with Diana where he tells her the truth. He has his goodbye with her, a kind of blessing where he sends her off to go find the ocean. And he wishes a safe journey for her. Talking about that ending and the secret ending. Clearly the secret ending with unknown signal leaves it open to the idea that he was alive. And if he was alive, there could potentially be a sequel. I've been wrong so many times about sequels now, I hesitate to say this. I'll say this, actually. Pragmata stands so well on its own that whether there's a sequel or not, this is a great game on its own. We do not need a sequel where Hugh is still alive. And in fact, I would almost argue that Hugh still being alive cheapens his sacrifice at the end of the game. It's not to say that I want him dead. Please do not mistake that. I don't want him dead, but it cheapens the ending in the sense that his sacrifice is what a father would and should do for their child, for his daughter. And so him living kind of cheapens that sacrifice a little bit. To be fair, he didn't know that he'd be able to live. But it's a very, very tiny thing, and I'm probably a huge minority because I've seen so many comments of people wanting Hugh to be alive and Hugh still living for a sequel, that sort of thing. And to be fair, too, I would love to see a sequel to this game. I'd love to see other elements of fatherhood or maybe motherhood if they move from Hugh to a mother-daughter dynamic. That would be pretty cool. So I would certainly love to see that. But yeah, like there's nothing wrong. It's sad. It's emotionally devastating. There's nothing wrong with Hugh just being dead. Having sacrificed for Diana so that way she can get to Earth and see the ocean. One last thing, personal note, if you did not, if you 100% the game, I think that includes unknown signal, pretty sure, you get an end credit scene you get end credits that I think are the best end credits I've ever seen. You get these manga drawings of Hugh and Diana doing different stuff together. So I highly recommend 100%ing the game and beating 100% on the unknown signal, so you can get those manga credits because they're very cute. Man, yeah, Pragmata was a great game. absolutely fantastic. Please, if you can, play it. It's it's a great story, interesting gameplay. Aside from maybe some curse words, and even those are very tame. This is a very safe game for kids. The robots, you're just fighting robots the entire time. There's not a lot, if any, gore or anything super violent. Actually, it's got a T rating, and most likely the T is because of the violence. So, great game for older kids maybe to watch, that sort of thing. I probably would have no problem with my daughter when she's like 8 years old. Much like Diana is built off of. I'd have no problem, I think, letting my daughter watch whenever she's about 8 years old or something like that. But yeah, highly recommend this game. Beautiful game. Just be prepared for some tears. With all that being said, I am your most humble and obedient servant, Page Ghost.